I like the idea that a voice can just go somewhere uninvited, like a dirty thought in a nice, clean mind.
This is The Liberal Lens. I'm Jay, and we're going to talk about Plastered Pete Hegseth's illegal bombing of ships. And is it a war crime? But let's get right into it.
The Washington Post is reporting that before the strike on the very first suspected drug boat in September, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth ordered that everyone on board be killed. And then when 2 of the 11 people on board survived, a follow-on strike was ordered to finish them off in the water. And it was illegal, that killing people who are no longer able to fight is a war crime.
All right, let's dissect what's going on. There is a lot of layers to this. Let's just get through the obvious few right away. So Pete Hegseth decides to bomb ships that the Trump administration has deemed terrorists, narco-terrorists, and he says, kill them all. Well, first, what due process have they had? What evidence have you shown anybody that they are narco-terrorists? Because there has been reports from outside of the U.S. that a couple of those ships that were blown up were fishing vessels. Now, I'm not saying they were or they weren't. What I'm saying is we have zero evidence because this administration is not transparent. There is no transparency or oversight on what they're doing, and it's absolutely illegal. They are blowing ships up in international waters, violating international law. And they're committing war crimes because you're not allowed to kill somebody who is not an imminent threat. So how are these people who are in the water hanging on to boats after the first explosion a threat? We don't even have credible evidence of any of this. How do we know it was a credible threat? We're just supposed to take the Trump administration's word for it while they're out here murdering people in international waters because they want to call them a terrorist organization because then they think it gives them the right to do whatever they want. But by Pete Hegseth ordering the second bombing, that's absolutely a war crime, even though the first bombing is a war crime. But even with the argument on the right that it's not, soon as he ordered the second bombing, it definitely is a war crime. You murdered 2 people who were hanging on for dear life, trying not to drown without due process or any evidence or any oversight. Just watch Caroline Leavitt because she's going to do her verbal gymnastics, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but see how she tries to push the blame off Pete Hegseth right away. And this whole thing is getting wild. And I do think the only reason that they're coming out and talking about this is because I think there's video evidence that's going to come out, because we just saw Trump yesterday talk about how Pete told him it wasn't true. He doesn't believe that it happened. Pete said he didn't order the second strike. And now we shouldn't be shocked. The cover-up begins.
Thank you. Gabe.
Thank you, Caroline. Excuse me. Regarding Venezuela, the president said yesterday that Secretary Hegseth had denied that second strike, the reported second strike on an alleged drug boat on September 2nd, the secretary said to the president that didn't happen. But to clarify, I just wanted to clear this up. In his social media post, Secretary Hegseth didn't go into details about that strike. He just said U.S. operations in the area were lawful, and he said that the story and media reports were fabricated. So to be clear, does the administration deny that second strike happened, or did it happen and the administration denies that Secretary Hegseth gave the order?
The latter is true, Gabe, and I have a statement to read for you here. Trump and Secretary Hegseth have made it clear that presidentially designated narco-terrorist groups are subject to lethal targeting in accordance with the laws of war. With respect to the strikes in question on September 2nd, Secretary Hegseth authorized Admiral Bradley to conduct these kinetic strikes. Admiral Bradley worked well within his authority and the law, directing the engagement to ensure the boat was destroyed and the threat to the United States of America was eliminated. And I would just add one more point to remind the American public why these lethal strikes are taking place. Because this administration has designated these narco-terrorists as foreign terrorist organizations. The president has a right to take them out if they are threatening the United States of America and if they are bringing illegal narcotics that are killing our citizens at a record rate, which is what they are doing. That's why you've seen a drastic difference in this administration's policy with respect to the last, and it's one of the many reasons the American public re-elected this president and support this Secretary of War in conducting these strikes.
So to be clear, to clarify, Admiral Bradley was the one who gave that order for a second strike.
And he was well within his authority to do so.
Okay, there you go. They're already trying to shift the blame onto the admiral. You see what they're doing? Because here's the thing. The admiral could not have ordered the strike without the Secretary of Defense ordering it. So Pete Hegseth had to order this. So Plastered Pete's over here ordering the murder of people on the open seas, and now they're trying to push the blame on an admiral. And this is exactly why they warned our military their oath is to the Constitution, that they not only are not supposed to, it's illegal for them to follow illegal orders. And there is JAG lawyers that they can call when they're in a situation to see what their legal options are. But yet Trump threatened to kill some of these people over that, but we'll get to that. The fact is, this administration wants us to believe that they're smuggling drugs. And maybe they are. Maybe, but we have no evidence of that. There is no oversight. They are not forced to show any proof to this. And like I said, there was reports from outside of the country that some of those were shipping vessels. And just by them admitting that there was a second launch, they admitted guilt to an illegal war crime. It is illegal to kill people who are not a threat. Tell me how people in the water trying not to drown after being bombed are a threat. And then they want us to believe that they're trying to crack down on drug smuggling when Trump just pardoned former Honduras president Juan Orlando Hernandez, who was found guilty in a federal court in the U.S. for drug smuggling and weapon smuggling. And it was 500 tons of cocaine. But they're trying to make us believe that they care about drug smuggling, that they care about drugs getting in the U.S. You just pardoned a dictator who smuggled drugs in the United States and was thrown out by his own government for the corrupt shit he was doing. But now we're supposed to believe that all of these strikes have to do with trafficking drugs. And again, this falls back to how do we trust anything this administration says? Trump gets triggered at anything. Anything can set him off. He has been calling for the death of some of our lawmakers for making a video. And mind you, they're veterans, reminding the military service men and women of their oath. That's all they did. And this White House wants to twist it and say they're telling them not to follow legal orders. No, if you listen to it, and I get that facts actually confuse MAGA. I get that this is a thing. Like, facts confuse the shit out of them. But they said illegal orders. Because you took an oath to the Constitution, not Plastered Pete, not Deep Throat Donnie, none of them, to the Constitution and the people of the United States. And now we put our servicemen and women in a fuck situation because even if you feel the order is illegal, now you got to stand on that and defy the order. The only thing that I've learned through this whole process from some DOJ lawyers who are ex-servicemen, who are JAG lawyers that are on YouTube, and you can go find their channels. They speak about how there is latitude. So if you truly believe you're acting in good faith by violating an order, you shouldn't be court-martialed. But that doesn't mean that this administration still doesn't have loyalists to Trump, and then these people will end up getting court-martialed. This is a scary time for our servicemen and women to try to make these decisions too, because they're being put in a fuck situation by Plastered Pete, who has no business being the Department of Defense Secretary. He is over his head. He is not qualified. And it's really scary because this is one of the most important positions in our government. It is one of the most powerful positions in our government. And we have a fucking Fox News host running it. And then they're murdering people illegally. And then the crazy thing is, again, these lawmakers come out to tell our servicemen and women that they don't have to follow illegal orders because of shit like this. And then Donald Trump talks about how they should be hanged. But the crazy thing is Trump is out here just being triggered, going off. He's a bully, and he's trying to bully these lawmakers into backing down. But guess what? Mark Kelly ain't backing down.
Throughout his entire career, in business, reality TV, and politics, Donald Trump has had one and only one play: bullying his opponents into silence. He did it as a failed casino owner who bankrupted his properties and screwed over his contractors. He did it as a reality TV host known for firing people. And he's done it as president who tries every day to intimidate people with no regards for the rights or well-being of the American people. I'll say this for the guy: while he's never seemed to do much else right, for most of Donald Trump's career, bullying people has worked out for him. But not now. Because I won't let it happen. The American people won't let it happen. President Trump is trying to silence me, threatening to kill me for saying what is true. And he sent his Secretary of Defense after me. And it's not going to work.
It's not going to work. Senator Kelly's not going to be pushed around by Donald Trump, a service member. He was a service member. He's a veteran. He was an astronaut. This man has served his country for his whole adult life. He's not going to be pushed around. Donald Trump came out to threaten them for the warning of the veterans, but Senator Kelly's not backing down. And bullies don't know what to do when you don't back down. He is not going to let Trump push him around. We need more lawmakers who are not going to back down from Trump. This whole thing is crazy. And then Trump goes unhinged and he starts tweeting a storm, and he tweets about Tim Walz, and he calls him the R word, which is probably going to ruin his bid to redistrict in Indiana, because an Indiana Republican who has a daughter who has Down syndrome was very offended and is no longer going to vote for the redistricting. So maybe Trump going unhinged will help us in the long run. But it is a scary time right now. They are literally murdering people at sea. They have made people disappear from this country. They have illegally arrested American citizens with ICE, and they have sent out the military against American people. We are in a fuck state right now, and it's crazy, and we all just have to keep fighting back and make sure when it's time you get to the polls. If you are in Tennessee and you vote tomorrow in the districts, find out if your district is voting, get out there and vote. If you know somebody who will vote for the agenda to stop Donald Trump, take them with you to vote. Do whatever you got to do, because they can really shrink the size of the majority in the House, and Republicans are scared. That's why Mike Johnson was down there. That's why he had Trump on the phone, and Trump was just lying like Trump does, which is crazy that none of the mainstream media anymore calls out Trump for his lies. People have become so desensitized to it that it's become normal. So nobody even calls him on his bullshit. All right, guys, I could just keep rambling, but thanks for watching. Love all the support. Again, killing it on Facebook, seeing a little bit of movement on YouTube. Come on, guys, go over there, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that notification button so you don't miss anything. Like I said, I could make one video that pits off Zuckerberg and I'm gone from Meta, but you still have a place to find us on YouTube. I did drop my interview with Dr. Tyson. Go check that out. I sit down with Dr. Tyson, elect, to discuss everything that's going on in the country. He is a professor at Arcadia University. And also, I know I said it, but my boy Maddie told me this week he could be dropping a video for you all the way from the other side of the pond. So keep your eyes open for that. And again, thank you all for watching. Keep fighting the good fight. One world, one love. Deuces.
Everything's polluted. The environment, the government, the schools, you name it.
This radio person is the whole problem. Are we going to allow this guy to be heard by anyone who can turn a dial?
You out there?